Isn't it so amazing knowing that you can actually stop grinding and build your business feeling in the flow, feeling joy, feeling and knowing there is ease and trusting your intuition and knowing that you already have all the answers. The question is, though, what are the mechanics of all that? And that's the question I asked myself when I first started flipping the script and exiting the grind following a very powerful revelation that landed on my lap straight from the universe, which said that, oh my God, freedom is not a destination. Freedom is the path. And here is why. It's because not only that helps you stop grinding right here, right now, but also it opens the door to creating bigger results, to creating aligned clients, to taking aligned action, to action that is way more powerful. Because when you create your business from that place, you are in that power mode, not in that forceful mode. And then, yes, there are strategies. Yes, it's not only about how you are being, it's also about how you translate the being or give that being a shape into those specific things that you want to achieve. And yes, there are strategies I also embrace because they are very high leverage, and that leverage, knowing about it, embracing it, it contributes to the whole thing of having more freedom in the process. And, I can talk a lot about those strategies as well. And this podcast episode is not about that. But just for now, just to mention, I handpicked those strategies because they are energy loaded. Because everything is ultimately about energy. And I'm not talking about your labor energy. I'm not talking about the energy that you somehow pull together to be able to sit at your workplace and do the work and create a content and push something and force through it. What I'm talking about is the life source energy that you have an endless amount of. How amazing is that? Like, let me give you an example. When sometimes you are in a situation where you, for whatever reason, you need to get something done and there is no escape. And you somehow pull yourself together, and maybe that something lasts for a few days. There are a few days you just keep going and going and going and going, and maybe somewhere in the middle you wonder, how can I be focused like that? How can I go like that for ages? And only when you stop, only when you finish, only when you finish doing and sit down. And a good example for me personally is when I travel and I'm actually excited, even though it might be challenging otherwise. For example, early flights, packing, unpacking, and going to places and navigating and finding your accommodation in a place that you don't know. And also those kind of things that really are physically challenging. However, you don't really feel that physical challenge, right? But then when you do sit down, when you're done, either when you go on holidays and then move into your accommodation, and then you sit in a cafe or a bar and finally relax, you realize, oh my God, I'm tired. But it didn't matter, right? All that time while you needed to do that thing in order to get to the place that you really wanted to get to, and you could totally do it. And that secondary energy, which probably is the primary energy, is always there. Is the life force energy that's always there, and it's available to you all the time. And that's what I'm talking about. Accessing that energy. And there are, many factors, probably, like if you picture yourself traveling somewhere or going, visiting friends or family that you haven't seen for a long time, and you're so excited, it doesn't really matter. It's gonna be tiring per se. What matters is that where you are going really excites you. And that excitement pulls that life energy out, and you just keep going. While your body is maybe getting tired, but that doesn't really matter. And that's what I'm talking about. And that's what I'm saying about working from the place of freedom, working from the place of excitement, working from the place of joy. When you get up in the morning and you feel that joy and excitement in the morning, it pulls you out of your bed and you can't wait to go and do a video, post that new idea that you had. I sometimes, so as part of my routine is to do some yoga, morning routine, to do some yoga here in this room. Usually I pull out my mat, I put it on the floor, I do some yoga. Sometimes I'm so excited about creating a post or saying something or doing something, or just writing down some ideas that popped in my head, that I rushed through that yoga session. I can't wait to sit here, and maybe I love drawing concepts. So sometimes I just itch to sit here and just draw or write it down or something like that, right? So that's all good. And it's very easy to say, just keep your vibe high. Imagine your life is beautiful and delicious, and all you need to do is to tell yourself, now I'm free, and work from my free. What are the mechanics and how does it work? So ever since I decided to embrace freedom first and create my business and the result that I want in my business from that place as a byproduct of being in the freedom mode, I kept asking, so what are the tangibles? And okay, so I am, and maybe part of that work is to detach from always trying to understand how things work and just believe it. But in order to believe something, I personally, sometimes I need to know at least a little bit about the mechanics and how it works. And I remember back in the day when I got into meditation, at that time, meditation was a bit of a sort of a questionable thing generally in our society. And I remember, first of all, I didn't talk too much about it because people, if they heard me talking about meditation, they'd look at me with this interesting look. And I basically, sometimes it turned into some sort of an argument and some sort of a trying to convince about the very fact that meditation exists. And then when I lived in Ireland, I remember I was commuting a lot. I was on the train a lot to go to work every morning. So I decided to use that time in a more productive way. And I was doing a lot of courses online, specifically on Coursera, and there was this course about meditation and basically what science knows about it. And that course was mostly about neuroscience, about how they manage to measure what happens in your brain during meditation. And so it appeared that meditation had been a scientific fact for years already. So guess what? Guess what? The argument was over. For those who are super scientific, so am I, by the way. I like to understand how things work, but meditation is very experiential, and it's like you experience it. You cannot, it's kind of subjective. You only know about meditation when you feel it, when you feel the state of being in meditation. So anyway, so that was over. Now, I was asking the same question about this freedom vibe, about how things work. I was looking into what science knows about, how we feel, why we feel the way we feel, and if is there anything more methodical, so to speak, where, that would help to actually, first of all, to get into that myself, to do the work on myself, but also help other people, my clients, and my tribe. So here's what I found, and it's really interesting, right? Have you heard about the fact that your emotions, thoughts and emotions, they have all specific frequency, vibration? And the reason why is because we are energy. And if you break yourself down into the granularity of atoms, atoms are vibrating all the time. And what happens is that your thoughts and your emotions trigger certain vibration. And yes, there's a deeper explanation of how neurotransmitters and hormones radiate that different vibration and so on. It gets very scientific, and I personally don't need that level of understanding of how it works. I just believe, and I know now that it does. But the main point here is that everything is vibrating, and everything is vibrating in you. You are vibrating, and everything in the universe, everything around you is vibrating. And different emotions and different thoughts, they produce different vibration. So with that knowledge, what can we do? With that knowledge, we can sort of reverse engineer what vibration, how do I want to vibrate? What emotion do I want to vibrate at the higher level? And the higher level it is, the easier it is for us to do things, to take action. Like if you notice, like kids, when they play, they are in such a high excitement, vibration, everything is easy. There's next to no fear, and because there is no expectation, it's about the process, and that's what we want to achieve, to be in that vibration where you just feel that you're playing instead of working and grinding and worrying. Now, so as I mentioned, right, different emotions have different vibrations, and believe it or not, what do you think? What emotion do you think has the lowest vibration? It's shame. It's shame. And that's why it's so hard for us to show up. That's why it's so hard for us to do videos unless we train ourselves. It's so hard for us to post our thoughts, real thoughts. It's so hard for us to be our authentic selves. Because when we get into that mode of shame, it pushes us down. So there are other emotions that produce low energy. So shame, guilt, fear. And then somewhere around the courage emotion, there is this tipping point where we then flip to these other positive vibrations, positive emotions producing positive vibrations, higher vibrations. Now, when we are below the tipping point, when we are below, when we are on the side in the mode of low vibrations, we want to be in control. We are escaping. We are moving away from these things that are causing we want to run away from those things that are causing those emotions. And we are trying to control the situation. We are trying to control ourselves. We are trying to control the actions, the thoughts, the ideas, and we are not feeling ourselves. And when we are not feeling ourselves, we are feeling weak. So the whole idea is to operate, to live, to vibe in that other mode, the positive mode, the empowerment mode. And by the way, I call these two modes the disempowered mode and the empowered mode. You want to operate, do everything you can to operate in the empowered mode, in the mode that is excitement, that is joy, that is creation, everything that's powerful, that helps you come up with ideas, come up with better choices, see better opportunities, take action that has a very different quality, a much higher quality to it, and so therefore is way more powerful. That's what you want. So you don't want to stay in the disempowered mode, which is anything below courage, fear, anxiety, shame, guilt. You want to be in empowered mode. And that's when, my friend, you feel free. Now, right? So how do you do that? And how do you even sort of sometimes, how do you even know which mode you are in? So here's what I came to realize, and it's such a simple way to see it. I'm not saying there is no work to do on yourself. What I'm saying is there is explanation to everything, and it's amazing. Just imagine that the universe doesn't have negativity in it. The universe only means good. The universe functions at a frequency of love. There's this unconditional love. Why? I don't know. I mean, maybe because things need to be created. The universe is constantly creating things. And you cannot create from something good from something bad, can you, right? So the universe itself is showing you the way. And what does that mean? That means that whenever you find yourself, and the key is here to catch your emotions, catch what you're feeling, and when you see and you feel that you are somewhere in that disempowered mode, which is also includes doubt, thinking that I'm not good enough. When you find that yourself in that mode, you know whatever thoughts are causing those emotions are not true. They're false. They're coming from your ego, from you trying to control things. And that's when then you can question your emotion, you can ask yourself questions. Where is it coming from? What am I thinking to cause this emotion? Because whatever you are thinking to cause that emotion is not true. It's false. It's your ego, it's your mind is trying to trick you into, encapsulate you into this fake sense of safety. We needed that at some point. People need that, and we do need that. For example, I don't know, you don't want to jump from an airplane without a parachute. Even jumping out with a parachute is probably not a very natural thing to do. I used to do that. The fear is real for a reason, for my safety. So that was all cool. That was to protect me. Now, when we are talking about creation, When we are talking about taking action from the empowered mode, from the mode of joy and excitement, where we get these other ideas that are out there but are not reaching us otherwise, and these opportunities, and this other way of thinking and approaching things, which sort of for our ego might not feel safe. However, in order to create all that, we need to step into the empowered mode. That's it. That's the mechanics. Now, there are 1001 ways or more to achieve that. And that's why I usually have guests on my podcast to talk about those things. There are so many modalities, there are so many theories, there are so many practices. And truth to be told, and what I'm finding is that not all methods suit me personally for one or another reason. Sometimes it's very practical reasons. For example, morning routine. I cannot afford a very long morning routine, or meditating first thing in the morning when I have to prep my daughter for school. So that's why I get guests on my podcast to discuss about all the different things, so that you can then pick stuff that suits you and maybe understand better how everything works and why it's needed. This is something I'm super passionate about. This is something I'll be going deeper and deeper on. And I'll be bringing more and more guests onto this show for myself and for you. Well, because this is the way. Freedom is the way. So, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate you. Thanks for being here. I believe that it's so funny. I'm going to contradict my previous former self, who used to say the opposite thing. Now I'm saying everything happens for a reason. And since I opened my mind to that, I started seeing and connecting dots, even in my life before, around why certain things happened in my life. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being in my world. I'll be talking about more cool stuff. Tune in, follow, and if you enjoy this and if you think that someone else needs to hear this stuff, share. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you again. Bye.